NASCAR drivers have different levels of comfortability inside the race car. I've noticed that you wear breathing strips on your nose before you hop in the race car. What's the purpose of that?
Yeah, so a couple years ago, there was a company called AC Systems that I saw a lot of the motocross guys wearing the deal that I use. It's actually a plastic piece with some magnets in it. I have to put a sticker basically on the side of my nose that has a little piece of metal in it, and it really opens up my sinuses. I don't breathe through my nose. I have a lot of nose issues, so I don't breathe through my nose very well. So in the car, that actually creates some problems because you're really not breathing clean air, right? You're breathing whatever air is kind of pumping through your helmet, but there's a lot of other stuff in the air, and so the more you can get deep breaths, the better, the more efficiently you can breathe, the better. So still buy them to this day because it is for me, it's the only thing that keeps me going in the car. It lowered my heart rate quite a bit in the car. I wear a heart rate monitor, and because I am breathing efficiently. So I think everybody's got their thing, right? Each driver has something that they have to have. Jeff Gordon always was the nose, had the cover over his nose and the strap on the bottom. Certain drivers have their thing, and for me, that's just always been one of them.
Yeah, so that's so interesting. As you kind of evolve, you learn what you want to do. How much can you do in terms of comfort? Like, have you thought of experimented with other things?
Absolutely. In the car, what we do as far as comfort goes, like the seat placement, the steering wheel, the shifter handle, all these little things that we come in contact with on a regular basis. The problem usually becomes that you don't know what you're missing until you sit in somebody else's car. And it's not like my other competitors are like, hey, come sit in my car and you can see what all cool stuff I have. So, for me, I've been lucky with the Chevrolet Wheel Force car. I get to go drive it. And sitting in that car is completely different than what my car is, and I've found a few things in that car that I say, oh, that's really good, and then you'll see stuff throughout the garage. Like I changed steering wheels this year, but they have about 10 different options of size, shape, color, materials, and so I saw a steering wheel at our shop that Chase Elliott ran, and it had a different material on it, and it was more like a rubberized feel than a felt feeling. And I fell in love with it, and so we got one of those. I've switched to that, and have fallen in love with it. So there's just little things that we can do in the car on a driver's basis. But for the most part, a lot of it is you have a pain for so many years, and you finally say, hey, man, somebody should fix this. And then somebody else will be like, oh, we fixed that years ago. You just didn't know about it. So that's usually the problem.
You mentioned the heart rate monitor. I remember Ross Chastain once described having to calm himself down in the race car. How important is it to monitor your heart rate, not get too excited or jumpy while driving?
Well, I think it's huge. Your heart rate, a lot of times, you control a lot of what goes on in your body. So you control your body temperature, you can control your mental attitude, you can control your physical strength and just kind of how worn out you are by your heart rate. But yesterday when I ran here, it was super hot, my body temperature was way up and my heart rate was way up. But the reason I did it was because I like to train at the heart rate that I'm going to see in the car. And granted, in the car, you're not physically moving. It's more of a kind of your adrenaline pumping, and everything kind of plays into you having your heart rate that high, and the mental focus that you have, your heart rate kind of elevates. Different than if I'm out here running around in the infield. So for me, I like to train where my heart rate's going to be at. I'm showing right now we're averaging about 160 beats a minute in the car for a full race. My minimums are going to be somewhere around 100 for in the car, but my maximums are somewhere around 195. I'm at my max heart rate level in the car at certain times, on a late race restart or something like that, which is really unique, from what a lot of other athletes go through. So for us, the lack of physical effort is interesting because you still have a high heart rate. So controlling that is a big deal. The breathing really helps control that. Just your physical conditioning really controls that. I like to train outside in the heat. I used to drive around with my street car with the windows up and the heat on in the middle of summer. Yeah. Because there's a lot to be said for heat training. And I heard one of the old Cup guys, it might have been Bobby Allison, I don't remember exactly who it was, but one of the old Cup guys that was successful in his day used to say that that's what they did because they needed to have that ability to be around the hot. It is amazing how much you can train your body to be okay in the heat. So for me, that's been the big deal.
There's so much you can do inside a race car, Justin Allgaier, managing all that. For more videos, make sure to visit AccelerationNation.com. And remember that kids 12 and under are free to all NASCAR Xfinity Series and NASCAR Gander Outdoors Truck Series races.